Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Star Wars Wednesday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with Star Wars The Black Series, Ahsoka Tano in her Mandalorian getup. Let's get into it! Let's begin with a look at the packaging, and here we have on the top a hook, some tape, a little bit of a window to let light in from the top. Star Wars The Black Series, nice big window showcasing most of the figure and her accessories. Star Wars The Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano, assortment number. Warning! Don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. 4 and up, Hasbro print. On the bottom, small print, fine print, legalese print, made in China print, symbols I'm not going to learn, and a barcode. On this side, just a bunch of blank space till you reach this stripe that comes around from the front and continues around upwards at an angle and then around to the back. Star Wars The Black Series at the bottom. On this side, some nice artwork of Ahsoka getting ready to get down on Mandalore. And here we have Star Wars The Black Series. Again, that nice artwork of Ahsoka. Just, closer up view of it. And here's what it says about her. Ahsoka Tano! Ahsoka Tano, a Togruta female, was the Padawan learner to Anakin Skywalker and a hero of the Clone Wars. Alongside Anakin, she grew from headstrong student into a mature leader. And here it is again in some other languages I do not speak. She's O2 in Star Wars The Clone Wars line. At least for this packaging. Attention! Especially don't stick things in your French pie hole. Includes figure and 2 accessories. Warning, attention, Octoon, don't stick things in any other language pie hole that do not belong there. Don't give it to babies. Small, fine, legalese print, made in China print, Disney print, and Hasbro print. That, my friends, completes our look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and her accessories, which is 2 lightsabers, 2 hilts and 2 blades, and they do come apart, and I will show that. So here we have the shorter of the hilts and the shorter of the blades, and I don't know, it kind of feels like it's a little bit fatter than the other blade, but I don't think it is. It just, I guess because it's so short, maybe. But on the hilt, nice silver paint app, and then we've got a punch of color here on that button, and then another one for this button. And there is a bit of paint, it looks like, on, before this ball piece of the hilt, the pommel, I guess it is. There's a little stripe in there, it is hard to see. And then the blades, of course, are removable. And they will only go in like one of 2 ways. You can see here the way this part of the blade is shaped. It kind of angles in on both sides there, almost to a point, not quite. And then it's rounded on this piece. And then, the peg for it is a little thicker than most of the older figures. So there is that. And the reason that the blade is shaped like that at the end is, let me get the handy dandy tweezers out, is because of the way this is shaped here. They kind of, it goes in these grooves and then ports in there. So there's that one. And the same thing goes for this one as well. And why is it not focusing right? I don't know. So again, nice silver paint app, punch of color right there. You can kind of see the stripe around you know, between the top of the, or where the hilt kind of ends and the pommel piece starts. So you got a nice little button app there, but it looks like it's scraped off a bit. And then there's a nice paint app right there for that button. And then they both have this post on them, and we'll get to how those work in a minute if you don't already know. And this has, the blade has that same almost to a point shape, and I may have this one backwards. No, it doesn't matter. So this is the longer blade in the longer hilt, and maybe I've got that backwards. I don't know. I'll have to check it and see. So, but again, I guess I'll go ahead and do that. Pull that out. So now let's take a look at the figure herself. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that there's only a few new pieces on this. The head is a new piece. This upper torso is new, and this overlay around the waist is new. From the waist down, minus the overlay of course, and the arms, it's all reuse of the Rebels Ahsoka. And that's why it feels like maybe she's out of proportion, you know, with her height, because they did use an older version of Ahsoka. And I don't mean just the figure was older, I mean, you know, the character was older. So, but let's take a look at the rest of the figure. She has nice striped decos on her Liku, and then the paint apps all around her face there. The eyes really stand out, and the lips as well, especially against her skin tone. Then we've got a little bit of a paint app right here, and then over here as well. And then these Mandalorian designs have like a silver piping, and they go, you know, that's on the back too. And then kind of the same thing is going on this overlay around the waist with some paint apps and then some piping as well. Got some ports here. That's what those pegs on the lightsaber hilts are for, and we will get to that. On the forearm pieces here, we've got a nice silver paint app here, and then some colors for these buttons, and then a nice punch of color here for the back of the hand armor, and then for the fingers maybe. I'm not sure if it's molded in the glove color. Yeah, it looks like, because of the hinge there, it's probably molded in that gold. I mean, the glove color, gold. She's not wearing a golden glove. And again, we've got paint apps here, this piping in the Mandalorian style. And then it appears that everything else is molded in the correct color. And then I don't know if I mentioned it, but the high collar there, and it's got some piping around it as well. It does not go all the way around. And then right here at the shoulders as well. So I do like the deco on this one, although I wish they would have made a new mold for this version of Ahsoka. Let's talk about her articulation. Because of the Liku in the back, she only looks up that far. Because of the ones in the front, she only looks down that far. She's got a little bit of chicken neck. She's got a lot of waggle. With a little bit of help, she can do the full exorcist. At the shoulder, she can raise her arm up that high on a single hinge. 360 degrees of rotation there as well. Single hinge and swivel at the elbow. Swivels around 360 degrees and gives you better than 90 degrees worth of bend. 360 degrees of rotation at the wrist. And this one is on an in and out hinge. And same here, except it is on an up and down hinge. So very good. Cut here where the chest and the abdomen meet, and I think it's on a dumbbell. Gives her plenty of hula. She can lean left and right. She can lean back that far and crunch forward that far, as well as another 360 degree rotation there. Because we know in Star Wars The Black Series, they hate waist articulation. At the hips, she will give you that much of the splits. The overlay, I think, is getting in the way just a tad, but the way that it feels, that is about the maximum splits she will get anyway. So she can kick forward that far, not quite 90 degrees, and then backwards with a little bit of outswing way back. Wow. So that's pretty cool. Cut here at the upper thigh for a full 360 degrees of rotation. Double hinged pinned knee, and it only gives you that much bend. So sad for me. Makes me sad. Ankle tilts down that far, tilts up that far, and she does have forward facing pin for rocker. Now, as far as the lightsabers storing, or the hilt storing at least, you take that peg that we talked about earlier and this port here in the hip armor, and you may have to work it just a little bit, but they do fit right in there. So there you have it, my friends. There is a look at the figure and her accessory. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the reissue of Star Wars The Black Series from Mandalore, from the Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano, with Star Wars The Black Series Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano Padawan, Star Wars The Black Series Ahsoka Tano as she appeared in Rebels, and this is the first release, not the repainted reissue. And finally, Star Wars The Black Series The Mandalorian Ahsoka Tano. For our final set of comparisons, here we have Star Wars The Black Series The Clone Wars Mandalore Ahsoka Tano, with, from the Marvel Legends series, making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee from G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. Our final Black Series comparison, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper. And for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on Star Wars The Black Series, The Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano, Siege of Mandalore re-release, I have to say I'm a little disappointed in this figure. I think she's a little bit too tall, and that's mostly because most of this figure is reused from the Star Wars Rebels version of Ahsoka, where she was an adult, which, you know, she wasn't quite an adult at this time. I think this figure also skews a little more heavily into the animated look rather than the combination that they generally do, where it's a good representation of the animation and in a realistic style. So this one skews a little bit more toward the animated, and not that that's an issue in of itself, but just, you know, to make everyone aware that, you know, that's what I feel about this. Another thing about this one, I also feel that they got her skin tone a little bit too dark. I think they did a much better job with that on the Padawan version, which of course is a newer version on a newer body. But, you know, as far as the overall look of this one goes, I like it. I appreciate what they were trying to do. I just wish there had been more new sculpt in this rather than a lot of reuse. And am I glad that they did reissue this figure? Yes, I am glad, because I do feel like this is a version of Ahsoka that I need to have in my collection. And You know, just for the fact that it's in that last season of Clone Wars, this is how she appeared when she was fighting Darth Maul on there and going to take him into custody and all of that. You know, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the final season of Clone Wars. And so I am glad that I do have this version of Ahsoka. I just wish, again, that it had been a little less reuse and a little more new. And I probably should have done a little more research on this before I pre-ordered this version to know what I was getting into, but I didn't. I generally do not watch reviews on stuff that I'm intending to get and review myself, so that's pretty much everything I get. So, you know, I don't want people to think, well, they're just copying, you know, he's just copying what so-and-so said and this and that and the other. So I generally, it's very rare exception that I actually watch a review on something before I buy it. Now, there may be times where I watch a review on something I'm interested in just to see how, you know, how it works or how other people feel about it. But that's very few and far between that I purchase something solely based on a review. And that's not saying, you know, that I think it's bad or it may be a cost issue for me. There's just other factors that go into it. But generally, I do not watch reviews on figures that I am intending to review. And I know that doesn't apply to everybody, but again, I don't want people to feel like they can come out, well, he's just copying so and so. I don't like that. I don't like to copy, and there may be some things where you may see where I have been influenced on some things, like the way that I may say something or the way that I present something, but that has more of a general thing to it rather than a specific. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know why I'm rambling on about that, but I guess I should have done a little more research on this one, so I wouldn't have been surprised about how, you know, how much reuse there was in this one. But regardless of that, I probably would have gotten this anyway, so research be damned. And I got it. And again, I'm glad I have this version of Ahsoka. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page, or check this video's description for the link, and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content, or just help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.